Welcome back to a brutal Vulcan playthrough. This is episode number 10, Skybox edition. And just returned from a mining run in the previous episode. Besides smelting the ore I picked up, I'm also go ahead and make some electron, constantin, and some invar. And then construction-wise, I'm going to make the Mark II tool belt, Mark II mining belt, heavy mining drill, and start building some of the components for a better way of collecting atmospheric air versus what I've been doing now. And those techniques is based on the videos, the stationary coding videos I've been running between episode 9 and this episode. There you saw I made the belts, and we got make some more ingots. Let's see. And make our tool belt. This gives a lot more room. And I think with the Mark II mining belt, for the most part, it's very difficult for me to fill that up in a single mining run because I typically do shorter runs, especially when the day hits. Typically, I prefer not to go with the heavy suit, as that increases how fast the hygiene issue hits, and so I just stay with the light suit. It does mean that with a heavy suit, you can get the heavy jetpack, which has a little more room for it. But if you get the heavy jetpack, you have to have the heavy suit, thus a heavy helmet, and thus, at least not for a while, I won't bother with that. Probably not at all. I'll just stay with the light suit. It's not very often I have to carry a lot of inventory with me. Yeah. So building some more insulated pipe, building some insulated tanks, and I build the power vent and some electronic parts. I'm smelting away a little more advanced stuff. And I'll make some more steel. And you need 5 insulated tanks to make a large insulated tank. So I'll use a large insulated tank for general collection. I'm setting up a small tank just to get the hydroponic going. I don't want to wait any longer for that. I'm afraid of running out of CO2 in the hydroponics. And I'll reduce about O2, so crank that up a little bit. And still going through my hot gas jetpack here. At some point I'll switch that over and I'll be able to fill that. Once I have that large tank, I'll set up filtration for CO2 and volatiles from there. And then I can re-rig the pipes around instead of pulling directly from all these sources here. And that's empty. So that was basically, it only fills at night and it's running and it emptied it out. So I just turn all these off. Typically I would put chips in all this and they would turn itself on and off and do all that magical stuff. So basically I'm striving for what I have in experiment 3, which is the large tank, collecting night gas, filtering out the gas, and then building a large volume of CO2 and then cool that down using the cooling method. Once I have that, I'll replace my current coolant line, the crappy one I'm having in here manually managed, with the new one. And that gives me 2 ones. It gives me a new coolant line that I can run through the bays, hook up the AC units. The second thing it does is I can actually, since it just has CO2 only, instead of and then the system I have currently that injects CO2, it can tap directly off that line. And that typically will be colder than outside, and it'll be a large supply. And what it will do is when I do it in that mode, there'll be logic that if the pressure in the coolant line goes down, then it will pull more CO2 from that large tank that I'll be filling up at night. So effectively, it's not getting all done on this episode. I think I'll have it running by next episode. Maybe not completely wired in, but at least the cooling part going. Yeah, and I chipped this too. So I'm still manually playing with fire and filling up my tanks manually into the room. Now we have reasonable cooling in here. It says it's not as important when I go out. Water over here. Go ahead. Trying to grab the ones with the least amount of water in, try to finish those off, and I'll drag the bottles back in the other room. And I can still grab, I don't know, a couple, maybe 4 water bottles out of the hydroponic system if I was desperate. But I think at this point, I'm net positive on water production. I'm definitely have plenty of O2, although I still need to expand out, take the terminal out and expand the row all the way out, and then move it further out one grid. So once the pressure gets a bit high, I'll go ahead and move it out. What I'm doing here, I'm using the atmospheric unit to program the chip that I'll be using to collecting. So this was in one of my videos on collecting Vulcan fast night air collection, something like that. Put the old chip back. Yeah, you put some lights in here on the back. It's always something to do. So long term for this particular run, what I'm going to focus on is here I am re-plumbing. So I'm getting this ready to hook up to the tank outside. And you saw in the last episode I put all those vents down there so I can just do that. So I separated those. That gets rid of one comment. Although they're very close together, so maybe it doesn't do much use. And I'm going to run a cable down here because I'm going to... In the previous episode, I put that platform around on that side of the base, so now I can go ahead and use it to hook into. And it says this is sort of a temporary thing just to keep this room going. Just to have some safety margin in here. So long term, this run is going to focus on Vulcan specific things and patterns and techniques, and sometimes I may do multiple techniques, demonstrate them. So for example, the cooling water by using radiators outside, convection radiators outside, you have to protect them against the day heat. And there's 2 ways I'm aware of to solve that problem. One, we're using doors, and the other one is just having a digital valve on them and a pump. And then when it gets too hot, you just pump all the fluids out of the radiators that are outside. And once it gets cool enough, open up the digital valve, let the fluid transfer back over, or the gas fluid transfer back over, and cool back down again. So I think I'll do both of those. So things like that, setting up a Stirling engine, using the night-day cycle, some more advanced stuff on the furnaces, leveraging the day-night cycle, having furnaces auto-fill, things like that. I still need to set up a auto-degasser. I had discussions on that. That's pretty simple to set up on Vulcan. So there's a lot of scenarios that can be done on Vulcan that's kind of unique, and I'm going to work through those. So, but things like hydroponic automation, that will not be in this run because I can put that in any run. It's generic, so I won't bother with that. And besides, the amount of food and whatnot is I'll be eating potatoes for a while. Is there a war if you eat like 30 days worth of potatoes? We'll see. Here's my mini fast night air collector thingy. Technically, this should be somewhere a little further away. It really doesn't matter so much. I mean, we're not talking about, you know, have to keep everything within 1 degree or anything like that. So it's at least not in the same grid. And I also decided not to keep this beta run going versus restarting because they finally did ship. I think right now this was done on retail. I think right now there's no difference between retail and beta because they're just doing hot fixes to the release at this point. And once they get caught up on that and they start adding new features, those will probably go back into beta. But that might be, I guess that's gonna be a while. I'm sure they've been working pretty hard on this and working through the issues now. So I expect we're just gonna be fixing up stuff with more people now looking at it. So I decided to keep this run going because I think it's kind of interesting having the base up in the sky like this. Has additional challenges and makes it a little unique. Okay, so I will put the link to the video, and the video has a link to the code for this chip right here. It's the sort of pattern I want to do, and anytime I put code in there, I should be able to point to a video that explains that. Okay, so that seems to be... Oh, so I was wondering why isn't it working? Why isn't it running? What did I do wrong? And of course, it's too hot. Daylight is sneaking up on me. So I figured, well, you know... And yes, I should be carrying an extra empty canister with me to address that. So I figured I'd do a little mining here while we have a little, before it gets too hot. And zipping along. Oh, and I mentioned that there was a reset terrain at the beginning of this episode. So I guess that means everything got reset and all my previous mining has been erased. Big batch of silver here, so I'm going wild on that. Yeah, one advantage with a heavy suit, you can pretty much mine all day without a big deal. And maybe it's worth having 2 suits, having a heavy suit for mining runs and have it on a stand. Just put that on to go mining. And we'll do the old post-mining smelting. I think my next coating video will be a auto degasser, possibly auto base ore smelter for Vulcan. I did one for Venus. Venus is actually slightly easier. Although with Vulcan, you can use the more sophisticated and have it smelt a larger range of ingots automatically. You have to wait for the day cycle, but typically you're waiting anyway. And so it would be like Venus one I did. It would be a hopper on top. So after a mining run, I just throw the ore into the hopper and it flows down and automatically it would do its thing and would pop out into the base. Some of it would be ingots and some of it would be pretty previous degas ore. So a lot of this stuff I'm doing here would be sort of like gone and not wasting all this time mucking around with this. So that's the other thing going on with this Vulcan run. So I'm a bit rusty on all this. I'm working out some of these kinks. So as I identify these issues, I'll do separate videos on how to make that scenario more efficient and then show it on any future Vulcan run. I'll go through and look at what I did, look at all the various coding videos I came out with, and definitely optimize a much faster, more efficient start of things. This was sort of a lazy run. But even with that, even with my slow speed, it's still successful. And I know in a second run, I'd be much further ahead with much more automation going on. I mean, once you've done them a little bit, it seems like all the brutals are, except for Venus, are really not too difficult. I think Vulcan may be the most difficult one. But I said I can make this a little faster. The fact that you're virtually smelting everything using air, and the times you need really hot stuff, you just throw some silver in there just to boost it up and do all those ores off the bat. Now, super alloys is something else, and I would do an enclosed furnace for that using the advanced furnace, obviously. Yeah, a lot of ore now. I think I'm making electron right now. So typically you have electron, constant, and invar, and I make them in the order of get it hot, get it super high pressure, then make the constant, then make the invar, and then make the electron. Okay, let's see what's going on in here. Now, at some point, I'm going to move this into my tool belt. I'm tired to open up my mining belt to read the atmosphere. All right, so it's a little toasty still. And I'm going to replace this with an outdoor convection at some point. But it works, keeps me alive. So we'll just kind of milk it. You can also put more than one in here. I could have put like 2 or 3, I guess, to speed up the cooling effect. But it seems this simple little jury rig system is enough to generate more water than I can drink, apparently. At least on normal difficulty. Oh, and we have a storm. Speaking of storms, I need to build a stupid weather station. So they seem to happen in the afternoon. Is that correct? Because I was doing a mining run. It got a little warm. I came in, mucked around, or evening. So the storm seemed to be in the evening. So as long as you're not out during the evening of the day, you should be safe from storms. And with Vulcan, that's sort of easy because you don't want to be out in the heat of the day. And then before night hits, a storm hits, so yeah. Yeah, I'm going to have to make a microwave here pretty soon, too. I'm just going to wait till I use all the food up, and then I'll make the microwave at that point. Some more O2. Yeah, and another automation technique. Oh, this is a generic automation technique. Is a O2 extractor. Automatically pulls the O2 out and stores it in a big container, and then it gets consumed for water production or filling tanks as needed. And yeah, I pulled all that 2 bottles of O2, and pretty much quite a bit. See how low the O2 is. It's just barely, the CO2. It's barely keeping up. Yeah, I guess the plants barely use any water. I guess this is why they have the nutrition mod, because but you can focus on other complexities. There's plenty of different complexity aspects of it besides food. Figure out where my suit's at. Haven't hit any hygiene issues, so coming here and taking the suit off, and and now I have my platform outside. I can at least walk as far as the platform as long as I don't get knocked off. There they are. So I need to I'm going to make some more large batteries just to fill up my charger in the hallway there. So I can consume one for my heavy mining drill. Don't want to print too many of them. Okay, so once one comes out, I zap it, so we only get one more. Figured this would be a good time to get them all charged. And I'm going to need some more, I think, frames here. I was looking for that battery. It went spinning off there. Okay, drop this in here. Interrupt that, because I'm going to need stairs. I sure in the heck can't work. What else? Moving down a little further. Now, speaking of working outside, the jetpack is definitely performs differently before, even ignoring the height issue. Even if I'm like right next to the ground, it used to be, and now it could be that I have to adjust my jetpack settings, but apparently people said it doesn't make a difference. You can't really hover on a jetpack anymore. It's like you drop. So when you get to a certain height, you keep dropping. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's just, and you'll see it when I attempt to do work on the outside. Even though I should be high enough, I just keep falling down. So I have to keep going up and going down, going up, going down. Okay, so that needs to go through another cycle here. Nope, a little too toasty. Look how pitiful that mold in there. It said with the other system, I could have double that in one night cycle. Should have a water cooling challenge. So you start with X moles of volatiles and X moles of oxygen. And for a given planet, how fast can you cool that water down to 20 Celsius? Now, they'll generate the water and cool it down to 20 Celsius. And it should be quite a bit of water. And work out a solution and then measure the time. Okay, so we got storm's still going. And what's the temperature on? So it's warmer, definitely warmer during a storm by quite a bit. I was seeing it at one time long ago. Maybe it was colder. No, Venus gets a little colder. Not cold enough, but a little bit. Now, I'm about to move up because I'm sort of being pulled down. Maybe the storm's slowly pushing me down the stairs. I'm just looking at my position. I'm trying to line it up with the base. You don't want misaligned floors. So if I go one more here, this will be right under the base. And the storm is over. And it's getting hot out here. So yeah, the storm is like evening, then to the morning. So if you do your mining, you know, early, if you always go out early morning, which is a little more difficult, or start at the night, which I don't think they always start in the evening, not at night, then you're pretty safe from storms. I go, well, how much I got in my tank? Yeah, I can do a little bit of mining. Since I'm out here. I can see everything now. Whee! There's some more silver right there. Gold over there. And zip, zip, zip. Now I'm using a heavy mining drill versus the pneumatic drill. Although I believe if I use a smart tank, it's possible the pneumatic drill might be better. And it seems about the same as a pneumatic tank with a normal pressure tank in there. I just didn't want to F around with the tanks anymore. I just want to just change a battery, and it seems fast enough. And gold took damage. Yeah, there's some damage, weird damage stuff going on Vulcan. At least I've only seen it on Vulcan. Just going to smelt this little bit of gold I have, and I'm not sure why I'm dumping that gas. It's pretty hot. All right, what's going on in here? I got a full bottle. Put another one in there, and okay, see, this is weird. That vacuum radiator went down a lot during a storm. And the storm was, as you saw, it was like, what, almost 300 Celsius. And then day hit. It should not, I'm going to post that as a potential bug. But it seemed like it worked really, really well during a storm, even though it was hotter outside. So that's strange. Be an interesting test to set all that up and then force it, and then wait till the storm hits and then see how well it cools. Storm is so it's infrequent enough that it's really not something you rely on. I don't like relying on storm patterns. It just takes too long. Happen like every 3 days, then maybe. Now you see that? That's weird. And I think something went boo-boo. So my first thought is, well, the panels are damaged, and they're not tracking anymore. Man, I love having that glass tunnel there. That has been so useful to be able to look up there. And I got a full tank here, so I'll switch that out before I go back outside. Drop the water off. I've never seen that blinking thing before. So let's go see what's going on. Now I will discover what the real issue is, but I was thinking, okay, well, they took damage, maybe they're broken or something, they don't work anymore, or something like that going on. Oh, I think they look differently if they're totally broken. And we'll fix this one. And doesn't change it, so obviously repairing it didn't do any good. And for all you out there, can you guess what went wrong? We'll see in a minute. Okay, so, well, that's going to cause a problem. So, okay, the way the system is set up, in theory, unless my assumption, you know how assumptions are, is that the solar panels do not function during a storm. Thus, when my 5 turbines max out, and they'll max out the line, since the solar are not running, it won't hurt anything. But if the solar are running at the same time the storms hit, yeah, I'm going to go over. I've also told that there's bursting related to it could go over like what's rated for a short time. Now in this case, that broken line was on the side of the solar, so it must mean that the solar was generating power during a storm, which I thought that wouldn't be possible. So yeah, I need to put some heavy cable down, replace all that. Although we're day 29, the first time it became a problem. So it's possible the next storm will just kind of get lucky again and make it through. Maybe we'll leave it and do an experiment, see what's going on here. Yeah, so. Yeah, our power situation, we're right on the edge. I need to boost up how much power we generate. That's 43. I figure I'll just drain it and bring it back. Now I could pour all the water bottles into the hydroponic and then put a bottle filler and get nice 100% filled bottles. That's what I really want. All right, so I'm doing this, and I thought I had the outside set up. So we'll get that set up now. I mean, it's not going to run during the day, so I can do this now. Yeah, it's idle because it's not connected to anything. And I'm looking at it, and I go, wow, that's really, really hot. And that's because that pipe there had gas in it from outside, because it's connected to the outside. So I have to remove both pipes before I put that pipe down. Now, if I would have forgotten and just hooked it directly to my tank outside, probably wouldn't have hurt, because there's a lot more gas in that tank than there would be in that small pipe. All right, so I'm not going to spend too much time. Just go open my helmet up and try to drain these down a little bit. Yep, it was getting low. I think I got this one. What, got one more in there, so yep. Getting close to microwave time. It also means I'll drop my maximum hydration will drop down to 100, not 125 anymore. Yeah, it's blinking. It's not connected. We'll have to go out there and fix that. Fortunately, it looks like night's hitting. So night's hitting. I want to fill this back up. That's hot again. That's because I'm making more water and heated the whole system up. So that's still running. Okay, I guess it's almost done with. Yep, too hot to make liquids for the most part. Although with enough pressure, I think it's like 360. You can get 362, something like that. You can get water out of really hot steam. And it's like being on a boat. That would be a problem. Okay, so let's finish this up here. Except I didn't bring enough pipes. I don't think you have to run in this thing. You have one walking speed. Let's grab those. And back out we go. Down, 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 down. Okay, now we got enough to do this. And my tool belt, my new Mark II tool belt, not completely full. I can probably put some more stuff in there, like maybe a roll of heavy cables. Okay. There and there. So this is also weird. The tank is 115 Celsius. I mean, did I see the storm? So maybe when I came out, it was the end of the storm. Maybe part of the storm is colder than other parts of the storm. Maybe the beginning part of the storm is cold. Because I don't know where this coldness came from. I need to sit out for a whole... Okay, so has anyone sat out during the whole storm on Vulcan and monitor the temperature range of that storm? And does it actually drop for a portion of that storm or not? Because if that happens and how low it gets, that's useful information, because you could tap into that, and have, a large tank with 3 large power vents. And when that perfect time hits, you just kick those babies going full bore and pump it all in. If nobody knows, I guess I'll have to stand outside during a storm, and next time a storm hits, just go outside and kind of watch that temp, because both the vacuum radiator and that tank have below 127 Celsius temperatures, which is weird. Okay, well, it's just mystery to figure out, or it's a bug. Or I misread my HUD and pulled the wrong number. I can check that in the video, fortunately. Well, since I'm doing voiceover, I just stopped and scrolled back to the storm. So the end of the storm, when I first went out, was 160 Celsius, and it slowly started moving up. It got warmer and warmer and warmer and warmer, and then the storm ended. And you can see the sun coming up during the storm part. So it's possible the storm is making it colder, but at that time of day, it's actually warmer. And thus, when I saw 262, it was actually 362 if the storm wasn't happening, because the sun was already coming up. That would mean during the night, or whatever the delta is. So that would mean during the night, during the storm, it is colder. Answer my own question. And thus, that is useful. Unfortunately, storms don't happen that often, like every 7 days. But if you want to collect even colder gas, that does give you, 5 minutes or 7 minutes every 7 days or 8 days or whatever the random is. It's not a lot to depend on, but that would explain why I see those low temperatures if that happened. So I'm sure somebody will confirm that, or I'll definitely look at that next time the storm hit. The minute the storm hit, I will go outside and double check that. And just to keep it nice and pretty, I didn't want one there, so we'll take that off. So this little platform area I'm building out here, this is where I'm going to put the large tank at. And I didn't want to, because it's too high, I believe. Yeah, 2 grids high. And so I put it off to the edge there, so it's not clipping the base above it. Technically, I think it works. So you can have it clip into frames, but I think that's not proper. So I try to avoid that, or I do avoid that. So at some point, I'm just putting in just walkable frames right now. I'm not worried about closing it yet until I get walls. But at some point, I'll enclose all this off. Probably need to, I don't know, put a big box around that, put another airlock on the other end, have the stairs inside this huge room. Yeah, kind of push the... Here's some more of those. I got one more of those in the locker. And you make another canister, finally. Somehow I remember long, long ago, I would carry 2 extra canisters with me, 2 empty ones before I went out mining. And we need to crank out a bunch of these. And kind of looking something to do useful, something to keep the printer going that's going to be useful. I have an extra housing already, but a few more, not going to hurt anything here. And take a while to print. So this should print 2 housings. Kind of waiting until it gets a little cooler to go outside and finish up the construction. So that extra one I had, got a bunch of pipes there I didn't realize. Looking through my stuff, anything else useful, we can grab the sensors. And what's going on here? And the pressure is crap. Because I left the lever on. Looking around. Yep, the lever's turned on. Oopsie. Okay. Yep, don't worry. Working on getting it automated. All right, so. All right, well, that sucks. So I got to wait another cycle to get gas in here. It's cold. Now, this part was running, so see, it's even colder. It's 53, yeah. So the night cycle was definitely colder. And that is, yeah. Swap that out. Let's check that. Now you see the CO2 percentage is now up to 10%. So the code for the CO2 injector is, the threshold is 10%. And the O2, it was like 182. It's definitely generating O2. It's not like a huge amount over what I'm consuming, but it is. I'm net positive on O2, even though I'm generating the water. So if I double the hydroponics, that would be, lots of O2 there. Man, I wish they gave you soy and wheat seeds, even in brutal. I don't want to trade. I'll probably keep this episode on potatoes just for spite. Because trading is generic. It happens on all of them. So I broke up those big steel things I had into groups of 50. So I need some more frames. And let's make a large power vent. That's why we made all this stuff. So we can make those things. I would actually argue that I look at the smelting process. Smelting on Venus is probably the easiest planet because an auto degasser is simple enough because the temperature is so in the pressure between the pressure and the temperature. Building a degasser is, as my other video showed, is pretty simple. And once you have that, you can make a hot furnace. And with a hot furnace, you take the degas stuff, run it into the hot furnace, and boom, you have all the basic stuff smelted away. And with a hot furnace making all the alloys, you just change the pressure a little bit, and that's pretty easy. So yeah, it just smelt away. Here I'm just making the stuff to get that. Basically, said recreating experiment 3, more or less, while watching my furnace here. And look at the sun. Yeah, typically in Vulcan, I would have the little display with the temperature reading on it, but doesn't seem to be that important because I have the over next to the furnace. I have the pipe meter that connects outside, so I can look at that if I want the exact temperature. And because the pipe meter is actually better because it gives you both Kelvin and Celsius numbers. Although I think with a display, you have to have 2 displays if you wanted that. I guess you code it to have 1 display, and then you could change the mode, because it has a mode for Kelvin and a mode for Celsius, which has the units on the end. So I guess you could display one, wait a second or two, then display the other. That would be a cool. Don't tell anyone about that one. I think I'm going to do a coding video of that. The nice, small, short, sweet coding video. And just to show switching the values back and forth. And it's not too complicated. I think I'll knock that out before I let this video go out. So. And you got lots of large batteries. Yeah, I'm gonna need some more solar panels or more, and definitely upgrade the heavy cables. So I think right now the focus is on getting the cooling situation improved, and with the cooling system improved, I can make larger volumes of water in a given unit of time. And then I can enlarge the hydroponics and grow more plants, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I filled up my inventory, so I'm dropping a couple of things. I get my suit off here. Took my light down so I can't see the buttons. There it is. Find the one with the least amount of water in it. We'll drain those. Not quite yet. Playing with fire. It's nice you're taking the suit off, then you get the stupid warning about, you know, no air and all that. Yes, the room is warming up because I had my coolant line venting. And I gotta wait for the next cycle for it to refill. We're still within the 20 to 30 Celsius optimal range for the potatoes, though. So it seemed like we got more water than we had before. So it's basically the old too much is manuals, just start automating things one by one. And once you get this cooling automated, it's a lot less effing around to do. Okay, yeah, that still sucks. Might as well. It's still daylight outside, so I might as well drain the rest of it out while I'm sitting here. And hopefully I remember to turn that back on before night hits. We'll check. Oh, still a little toasty outside. Waiting to get a little cooler so I can go outside and do some work. So we'll look at all the stuff we just looked at. So we got 55 moles there. We got, yeah, so we got a bunch of moles of water. So like a bottle and a half. Okay, so the pressure is pretty close to outside pressure. So you might as well turn that one on, off. Good. That'll build back up. It's almost dark. You know, found a transformer laying around. Double checking that switch. Make sure that's turned off. A lot of junk with me, so let's go down and do some building down the stairs. Nice view, though. Look at that, yeah. So I think I'm going to put the large tank right there. I'll put that like that. Yeah, I'm getting more and more practice using the keys, so I use the keyboard to rotate it instead of hitting the C thing. That's another big thing to stop doing, is using C to position things like tanks and whatnot when you can just use the keys. I think in this case I use the C key, but learn the other keys for rotation. Now this is really an overkill because I won't consume the gas as fast, but I think at this point I need to start building stuff in a more final, fully upgraded mode. I don't think I need to put like a small power vent or the normal size and then upgrade it later on. So I'm going to show you in a minute this weird thing with the jetpack, because I'm at this point, I'm at the threshold where the jetpack will work, because I'm a little lower than where my other staircase is at. And I need to run cables to the other side. So this is what I'm seeing. I jump off into darkness and I'm trying and see, I hope the jetpack won't stay. So I have to like kind of hit the up key while trying to hold this down long enough to get the cable to set. It's like when you push down the button, it cancels the jetpack. Your up key pushed down, and so it makes. Now I could have put another staircase going down and put a little platform in there just to do this, but I figure I don't have to cable the tank. I just did it because I had the cable on right there. Why not? In case I need it. But I used the feedback from the pressure output from the vent itself to determine how much pressure is in the tank. So now I'm figuring out where I put the the sensor and the chip, which I didn't bother bringing with me. I guess this is where having a larger backpack inventory would be useful. And back in. Chips everywhere. 2 housings. Yeah, another thing I don't do well is that bulk print stuff. I know I'm going to need. Right now I have plenty of a good supply of ingots. I could have printed up a number of housings, a number of integrated chips while I'm doing other things. I'm always worried about consuming, the more valuable ores. Okay, this is going to be a problem. I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to power this thing up? So let's first get this put somewhere. And it's definitely not going to be pretty down here initially. Now let's stick this here. It's far enough. Now I won't actually get to programming the chip and turning it on in this episode, but it turns daylight at the end of the episode, so it wouldn't make a difference anyway. So at the beginning of next episode, all I gotta do is program the chip and drop it in. I hate wires like this, but for now, just want to get this thing going. I figure once I put the walls in, which the walls should go there, about there where the walls will go, and then I'll move the wiring over to the wall area. Okay, now I'm at the limit of my jetpack. My jetpack, I just can't, I get that one in, but the edge of that jetpack power, even with going up, it's just not enough. Oop, too high. So I need another staircase. I figure I use a staircase to try to get up higher so I can do the final wiring. No, not that. What the hell is that anyway? Tell you one thing, I use a lot more stairs in this playthrough than before. Yeah, I was running out of glass. I decided to print a bunch of glass up. Running into things. And down the stairs. Okay. So I put the stair up wrong first. I do that. But that doesn't work. Because I can't crouch. I can't squeeze through. If you're me, I can jetpack up to the edge. And I can't do it. No, jetpack won't go any higher. Okay. Well, obviously that doesn't work. I'm going to flip it around the other way. Just like that. Perfect. A nice little walkway all the way up just to put a wire in. just like real life. And we got, that should be power and daylight's happening. And blinking because there's no chip in there. All right, so let's look, it's all there. I just put a program a chip and drop it in there. And the next night cycle, it will go do its thing. And then we can drop in some filtration units and start pulling out CO2 and volatiles and storing that. So this is the end of this episode. Still alive. Until next time, see ya.